me in the last days. Yeah, yeah. For what is the flesh? Without the spirit, there's no best. Yeah, yeah. We live in the West, where the sins equal death. See, my earthly body doesn't mean nothing. I'd die for it if it means something. In this world, it's just long suffering. He sent his son because he loved me. I'm serious. People out.
Hey, what's good, family? So I wanted to do this this video on salvation. It's definitely fundamentals and just bringing it back to what it's really all about, right? But I also wanted to explain this. Now that after having all these paradigm shifts, for me personally, by the way, I'm under the weather a little bit, so if I sound stuffy and stuff, that's what's going on. But the Most High got me, so I'm sure I'll pull through according to His strength. But anyway, when I'm talking about these concepts, when I'm talking about through these studies that I'm posting, keep in mind that these are the things I'm saying is according to I would consider them Hebrew concepts. Okay, it's going to be confusing if you look at, or if you're trying to interpret what I'm saying into Christianity. All right, or really the idea of Eurocentric Christianity, which is really what's being taught most of the time these days. So anyway, just keep that in mind, that those two are separate. Eurocentric Christianity thinking as opposed to Hebrew concepts. Okay, but anyway, so we have the Bible's broken up basically into two contracts, two main covenants: the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, also known as testaments. Okay, in the Old Covenant, okay, this was a contract between the Most High and humans, and it was the covenant was made through a specific lineage of humans called the Israelites. Okay, and of course, when you're talking about Hebrew writings, when you're talking about these things, you should be thinking in terms of lineage. All right, race is basically a deception that was created, and it's ruled the minds, throughout the world through the Gentile era. But this is not how Hebrews saw things. They see things according to lineage. That goes back to Genesis 10. Okay, so I brought this up in other videos as well. But anyway, so we're going to get into this Old Covenant, and I'm going to start in Exodus 24. Okay, I'll just start in verse 3. So Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yah and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yah has said we will do. And Moshe wrote all the words of Yah. And he rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Yasharel. Then he sent young men of the children of Yasharel, who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to Yah. And Moshe took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people, and they said, all that Yah has said will we do, and be obedient. And Moshe took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, this is the blood of the covenant which Yah has made with you according to all these words. Okay, hallelujah. So first of all, some things that immediately stand out is if you notice, first of all, this is a ritual. Okay, and also this ritual is used to bring a covenant active between the Most High and His people, the children of Yasharel, right? And also it is a blood covenant. So the covenant is brought into being by blood, and it doesn't mention it here, But we learn later on, mostly through Leviticus, that when you violate the covenant, it requires blood. Okay, so this is a blood contract that the Israelites had been brought into. I'm just bringing this up because what you see, or and try not to get triggered by this, okay? But just hear me out. The rituals, okay, so the blood rituals that most people are familiar with are really perversions of what was pure and what was intended by the Most High. And the reason, when I say that the perversions of these blood rituals, I'm talking about, the rituals that are done by witches and warlocks, priests of other gods, okay? Other gods other than the God of the Hebrews, the Most High Yah. So when you see those things, those are, that's the fallen, okay? And their idea of what came from Yah, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to show you that all those other things are counterfeit. It's not like opposite. Okay, similar to how like Easter is like a counterfeit, or a perversion of Passover. Okay. All right. So anyway, let me go back to my picture. Okay, so we have this old covenant, or the covenant. Sometimes people associate it to Moshe, because that's who mediated the covenant, right? And who it was brought through from the Most High to Yasharel. Okay. All right. So this old covenant, or the covenant, the first covenant, the first testament, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it was given to Yasharel. But remember, when Yasharel was brought out of ancient Mizraim, or Egypt, that a mixed peoples came out with them. Think about the laws that are brought up in Leviticus about the foreigners among Yasharel. So even back then, okay, we know that other nations could be brought into this covenant if they clung to Yasharel. Okay, that means that even though they weren't Israelites, if they were living among Israelites and were following the law, okay, the law of the Most High, that He would honor them as well. Okay? However, spoiler alert, Yasharel did not honor the covenant. Okay, they were unfaithful. Right? This is clear as day as I am, bringing this study in the language of my oppressor, right? In English, exiled. So clearly, Yasharel fell away from the covenant, okay? But the covenant said that if you are obedient, that you will have life, okay? Unfortunately, Yasharel was not obedient. Therefore, the old covenant was condemning us. However, there was an elect one that came out of Yasharel, Yahusha. So he was born in this world. Okay, really, he manifested into this world. He already existed in the hidden world, and then he manifested into this world as one of us, as a human, and more than a human, as a Hebrew Israelite. And he successfully and perfectly kept the old covenant. Okay, so that's why the Most High says, well, if you keep the commandments and the faith in Yahusha, who is the new covenant. Okay, so Yahusha is the new covenant, then you may have life and citizenship into the kingdom of Yah. Okay, so Yahusha is the new covenant. Okay, he is the perfect covenant because he perfectly kept the old covenant, which none of anyone else None of the other Israelites, whether you're looking at David, okay, or obviously King Solomon didn't, because he's the reason that the kingdom split, right? But there were no other, not even Elijah, okay, who was taken up into heaven before he died. So none of the other Israelites were able to perfectly keep the covenant that the Most High had given to us, except Yahusha. Okay, so Yahusha is the greatest. He is the best of Yasharel. And he is the king of Yasharel. Okay? And we'll get into more of Yahusha, okay, being, by the way, this is the one that the Christians call Jesus, okay? But Yahusha is he is the Most High, and I'll get into that in another video. It'll be called 3 in 1, okay? But anyway, just I'm trying to keep this one simple for now. So we have the old covenant that was given to Yasharel, and others could, from other tribes, other lineages, were able to cling to Yasharel, but none of us kept the old covenant perfectly except Yahusha, and therefore he is the new covenant. So this is actually brought up in Isaiah. So I'm going to go to Isaiah 42. Okay, and I'll start in verse 1, then I'll drop down to verse 5. So verse 1 says, "Behold, my servant whom I uphold, my elect one, in whom my soul delights." Okay, so this is the Most High talking about an elect one. Okay. Okay, so going down to verse 5, it says, "Thus says Elohim Yah, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread forth the earth and that which comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it, and ruach to those who walk on it. I, Yah, have called you in righteousness, and will hold your hand. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, as a light to the Gentiles, to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. I am Yah, that is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved images." Okay, there's the who he's specifically talking about. "Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." Okay, so this is how we know that he can be trusted. Okay, so anyway, but notice, let's see, where was it? Here, "I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people." So who is this you? His elect one. Okay, so even in the old covenant, he was telling of a new covenant that was to come. All right, and by the way, let's see, where was it? Okay, so he's going to give this new covenant to the people, to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison. Okay, so why is everybody enslaved, or in captivity here? So we are all there was all just spiritual captivity from Adam. Okay, so remember, the God, lowercase g, the God of this world is Satan. Okay, that's who the Most High allows Satan to reign over the earth. Okay, and therefore the earth is Satan's, right? According to the authority that was given to him by the Most High. Now that's important because when Adam sinned, remember, sin entered into the world. So when Adam fell away from the Most High, sin manifested into this world as death. Okay, and because it entered into a world that Satan ruled, he ruled death. This is why Yahusha is so important because he came. Okay, and remember the first covenant. Let me go back to remember the first covenant. We saw in Exodus 24 that it was brought in as a blood covenant. Okay, so it required blood to come into the covenant, and it was a blood requirement when the covenant was violated. And it's the same for this new covenant through Yahusha. Okay, so when he manifested into this world, as a human child, so with blood and bone, right? So we also got this new covenant by blood, and there was a blood requirement that he fulfilled, not from his own sins, okay, but for all humans. Okay, and we actually see this in Hebrews 2. Okay, I'll just start in verse 5. Okay, and notice I'm in the book of Hebrews. That means that, this book is obviously, it was really a letter, but it was written specifically to Hebrews. Okay, so let's see what it says. So he says, "For he has not put the world to come, of which we speak, in subjection to angels. But one testified in a certain place, saying, What is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you take care of him? You have made him a little lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, and set him over the works of your hands. You have put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we do not yet see all things put under him, but we see Yahusha, who was made a little lower than the angels, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of Elohim, might taste death for Yasharel? No. For the Kodashim? No. For everyone. Okay, so this is how we know. And remember, this is a Hebrew writing to other Hebrews, telling them that Yahusha died and tasted death, that everyone may have citizenship into the kingdom of Yah, which is the same thing we saw in the Old Covenant, right? That's why you saw that mixed multitude coming out of Egypt, which I brought up earlier, okay? Now, that said, even in this new covenant, okay, it was also, just like the Old Covenant, brought through his people Yasharel, through the Most High's people, okay? And so it's still the same that his people, okay, we already have our roles in the life to come, okay, in this kingdom of Yah, once it's established down here on the new earth, that the righteous of Yasharel will be royals of the kingdom of Yah. Okay, so the righteous of Yasharel, the Kodashim, will end up ruling in the next world. All right. So something else that I noticed recently is that in this understanding, in this awakening that's happening, Yasharel is awakening all over the world right now. And of Yasharel, it seems like a lot of the southern kingdom, the house of Yehuda. But something I recently thought about regarding salvation is, even in bringing salvation to others, I have completely changed my approach that I initially, the way I saw things and was trying to bring it to others when I was part of Christianity. And I just wanted to mention this because I thought it was really interesting. So before, it was like, okay, you need to get out there and you need to tell people. It was very pushy, it was very aggressive. And so instead of being more aggressive and pushy with it, which never really sat well with me to begin with. But what I really try to do is just completely try to just focus on perfecting living in Yahusha's rest, okay? And just continuously learning and having my mind become more spiritual, okay? Thinking about spiritual things more and more, being able to understand spiritual things more and more, just like our Father, right? And in doing that, I really realized that Yah's truth divides, okay? Which is really the meaning of Kodashim, okay? Kodashim in English translates to saints, okay? So that's where we get that term saints from. But in Hebrew, the Kodashim means the set apart ones. Okay, so as you live for the Most High, you will stand out. And people will start to notice, right? People notice things that stand out. And so if you just continue to try and live in Yahusha, completely, you will continue to stand out more and more, and people will take notice, and people will come to you, okay, and they'll ask you, hey, what's going on over here? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just thought that was interesting how the Most High really changed my mindset, out of that we need to go out here and sell this salvation, basically, to no, I need to look and check myself, and I want to learn to be more like Father Yah, right? And then people will see him in me, and people will start coming to you about, why things are different for you and why you're moving differently throughout the world, or like throughout your life. So anyway, that was a quick breakdown, family. All praises to the Most High Yah and to the Lion of Yehuda. Peace and love, family.